Today we'll do a water pump and thermostat on a 2012 BMW X3. So on this vehicle and most BMW vehicles, when you replace the water pump, you also do the thermostat, and it comes in this housing here. This is the thermostat. And then you got the water pump. Is an electric water pump. So on these models, in order to get the water pump out, it's different than the 3 Series, and I think the 3 Series and 5 Series are the same, but the X obviously is an SUV. So what I did in order to figure it out, because I never done this one before, what I did is there's a beam that goes across from here to here. It's fastened by 4 Torx, and it takes in my case I use a Torx like screwdriver. I don't know if you can see that, but it takes a T30 for these. So you take those off. This cross beam comes off. So it's these here, and then there's a few here. 1, 2, 3, and then a few other things here that go across. You take that off, and then you go over here and you take off this fan. The fan's electric also. And then you see this transmission oil cooler. It's held in by one screw. I believe this is a T25. Let me check. T25. You loosen that guy out, and then I don't know if you see that, but it's loose. But under there, it has like a metal flange or something. It slides into the plastic radiator fan. So once you start lifting on this guy, once you got him disconnected, this you can push down and move to the side. And also mind that this hose here has like a retaining, like a plastic retainer. So that also might make it a little difficult. You have to be extremely careful with these plastic parts because they'll break. But anyway, so you get this fan out here. You unplug it from here. You undo a T25 here, and I don't know if you can see that from here, but there it slides into these grooves. There's one there, one on this other side here, and all you gotta do is loosen this guy, move it to the side there, like so it's not aligned, so it doesn't bump here anymore. So move it to the side enough, start wiggling this guy out, and it'll clear up a lot of space, because on these models the pump, the water pump, is in the bottom, and on the 3 Series and I've done a few 3 Series you bring down the sway bar and a bunch of different stuff, and that's the way I learned how to do those. But this was different. So in this case, you don't undo the sway bar because the subframe is in the way, and you can't do all that with this car. This was a turbo, by the way. I believe a twin turbo. So if you remove this guy here, first the support frame here that goes across, take that out so you have more room. You take the fan out, disconnect it. One point here, one point here to separate this away from that, and then underneath, so you're going to be able to get to it. This one has an intercooler. So the intercooler is going to allow you to have more space. The good thing about the intercooler here is that it has 2 T25s on each side. So one here, so it's 4 in total. 2 and 2. So the point on these cars is not to break any fasteners, because everything freaking breaks. The coupling itself won't break, but the joint will break. So I made the most amount of room by removing these here. This is another coolant line, goes across and it goes up. So loosening this allows it to wiggle, because this is rubber but this is plastic here, so it has some flex. But I don't know if you can see that. That's the water pump here. It's buried under there. It's really tight. And then the thermostat is above that. So they're connected with hoses and all kinds of stuff. So you'll need a flat screwdriver, a long one, and you'll be able to unclip these and then loosen them up, pry them open very gently. So there's a few of them that they have couplings, and then a few of them that are just hose with a clamp. So they're together. And I'm sorry my phone didn't come on with a camera, but with the light on. But anyway, so these that you can see right there, those are 10mm screws. They hook the water pump and the thermostat together. And you can see that's one of the clamps there. So those mate them together, but you loosen those and it gives you more wiggle. And then you got the E25 external torques. It's 3 of them. So 2 on the bottom, one there, and then on the top, you can't see it from here, but on the top up there, you wrap your hand around up there where the fingertip is pointing, right there, behind that little plastic shim or plastic, a metal, like piece of metal flap there that you see at the end of my tip of my finger. Right there is another E25 external torques, and that'll loosen the water pump itself. That'll bring it down. So all this room here, you're gonna have it open, and the way you do it is like I said, these 2 and 2 on either side, and then these are clamps, or like C-clips. You pry them open, you pull them open till you're able to loosen this. So when you remove these, it'll be able to dangle a little bit, and you can unclip these guys here on either side, because there's one here and then one on the driver's side. So this is passenger side. So you unclip these, and since this is going to be, the intercooler is going to be easier to pull down because it's not going to be held by anything. You pull down on a little bit, you put something in there or you open these up, this clip, and pulling it down enough should break this loose from each other. And so literally it's just this hose and the hose on the other side, and these 2 and 2 on either side, and this entire intercooler here comes off, and that gives you a whole lot more room. So the fan comes off. This part of it is the bottom part of it. The intercooler comes off, and then you have a whole lot more room to be able to unbolt it with a 10mm and the E25 sockets, and you'll undo a couple of electrical connections, and you'll be able the cooling lines flex, so you'll be able to flex them where the rubber part is. And then you'll be able to start pulling all these couplings apart and undo the clamps and remove the hose and stuff like that. I didn't show any of that work because I was kind of in a rush, and today I just wanted to get it done quickly, and I didn't want to stop and check and all kinds of stuff and make the video. So it's a little shaky. It's kind of very rough video, but it's fairly easy, straightforward. This is the first time doing it, so I took a bunch of stuff that I didn't need to take off, I'll give you an example of that real quick. So up here, you can see this open hose. This is where the air filter goes, and then the cover goes there, and the tube continues here, and then another tube continues here, all the way down to that connection there. And it gives me more ability, the ability to look down here if I want to from the top, but really I don't think that was necessary. It's more of a risk anything, because all this stuff is made out of plastic, like extremely brittle plastic, especially these guys here. And I've tried to, like, a bunch of different approaches to try to get these off without breaking them, and luckily they didn't break or anything. But they were creaking and I was getting nervous. And if this is in your car, you're working on somebody else's car, and you break it, they're gonna want you to replace it, and it's a BMW part, then I gotta be happy. So to save you a big headache on these models for the water pump, to remove the cross beam, T30, and then a few here, 1, 2, 3 T25s, and then that beam comes off, and then you're able to take the fan out with a few fastener, one there and one here, and then you can go underneath and undo the intercooler and a few fasteners just to give you a little more wiggle room, and that should be plenty of space. But for me, I did it over too much. I took all this stuff out thinking that I could take all this out, and no, I couldn't. So my casualty was the clip that goes here. There's a hose that goes here that broke. Luckily it was just that one. So I was trying all kinds of different things, but I feel like if I could do it again, if I could share this information, I would say just keep it simple. As they say, the KISS rule, keep it simple, stupid. So those are the items I would say remove, and that should be enough to be able to do it without taking any chances of breaking anything else. Alright guys, thanks.